Hey everybody, Cadroll Hunter here, and I got something special today. A subscriber sent me some very special pennies, or cents if you will, some Lincoln Memorial cents, and they're all double die obverse or repunched mint marks. Let's take a look. Hey everybody, it's James here, and you're watching my channel, Cadroll Hunter, and I was contacted by a subscriber who said that he liked my videos, which is great. I always appreciate that, and wanted to send me a few interesting things that he thought I might like, and he did that. And so what you can see here are some BU, or Brilliant Uncirculated Lincoln Memorial cents, but all of these have some kind of an error or variety. 3 of them feature a repunched mint mark, so we'll look at each of those, and 3 of them are doubled die obverses. And so my subscriber James has put them in flips, he's also James, for me, and he's labeled them all, which is really great so that we can see what they are. But we'll take a look at them one at a time, because I think these are really, really neat, and really happy to have these in my collection. Well, we'll start with the 1963s. They're all Denver minted Lincoln Memorial cents, and they're all double die obverses, but they're all different, which is really neat. And you can see they're all labeled here with the particular DDO variety that they are. So we'll start with this one here, which is marked as the 1963D Lincoln Memorial cent DDO 002. And of course, there's some additional information, the 2048. So we'll look at that. But what I've done is pulled up the Variety Vista website. This is an excellent resource. If you're interested in double dies, if you're interested in repunched mint marks, things like that, this is an exhaustive catalog of the things that you can be looking for and can find. And you can see all you need to do is actually just select the date you're interested in. So I've pulled open the 1963D doubled die obverses, and they're all listed here, and there are several of them. And we just need to find the one we're looking at. This one right here, the 1963D DDO 002, with the same indications that James had put on the flip. I'm going to click on that to open that one up. There are fantastic pictures of all of the different elements of the coin that you want to be looking at. And so it's going to be a little bit hard because on these coins, I don't want to take them out of the flip, and there might be a little bit of a glare off that plastic. But we'll throw it under the scope and we'll take a look at it. We'll compare some of the markers to what we see on screen in Variety Vista. Well, I figured I had to bite the bullet and actually take it out of the flip, so I've cracked it out of here, so to speak. As soon as we're done looking at it, I'm going to flip them back up again. But I really wanted to make sure that you could see this. And the best place to look is on this L. You can see that they're the marker on the website. They've probably got a bit better lighting than I have, but that is probably the best place for us to see that doubling on here. The other thing we can do, I'll be very careful just to touch this coin carefully by the edges, is to see what the die stage is, or the die state. So there is the late stage and early stage, and the early stage shows that there's no die break on the upper column. And if I look on the coin on the upper column, I don't see that die break. If I scroll down on Variety Vista to see what that looks like in a late stage, you can see how the column has got a bit of a break there. And we don't see that on this one. So we know this is the stage A, early die stage. And so that's really cool to know. And so there it is flipped up again. I certainly don't want to risk handling it. It's just a beautiful coin, just exceptional. Better than any Lincoln Memorial cent I think I've had in my collection, and just really cool to get a doubled die obverse. And so many thanks to James, but we want to take a look at the other ones that he sent me. Next up, another gorgeous coin. This is the 1963 DDO 005 featuring the double I. And we can see that entry here, of course, also. Well, as I did with the last one, I've taken this one out of the flip for the moment so we can get a better look here under the scope magnification. And particularly on this one, what we're looking for is this extra part of the eyelid that's been doubled right there. So this is the double I. Again, it matches up with the same marker that we can see on Variety Vista. And kudos to James for spotting all of these. What he might be doing is looking through original bank wrapped rolls to find the varieties. That's a popular way to do that. If you can find an original bank wrapped roll of 1963Ds, for instance, there are all these things that you can find. That's what they do on copper coins and allow people to participate and sort of join in and sort of split a roll essentially. That's a great option to find BU coins, of course, that have been wrapped up since the time they were minted, and look for those varieties that exist. If you can get your hands on an original bank wrapped roll, that's great. And as you saw in the last video, if you're not keen on investing in 50 1963Ds, for example, maybe you can just purchase a few coins from something like copper coins. I'll say there's some limitations to what you can see under this scope. And if you really want to get a good look at what you've got, you need to invest in a jeweler's loupe. This jeweler's loupe will allow you to see it really clearly, very close up, high magnification, and there will be no doubt. So scope it first. That's the easiest thing to do. If it looks like what you've got matches what you might see on a site like Variety Vista, you'll want to just verify that with the loupe. Now, I had a close look with the loupe and it looked really, really cool. It's exactly what you see on the Variety Vista website. So I know exactly what to look for. That's really neat. Now this next one here, I can't completely identify. It says it's a 1963D 100-020 Class 8 DDO. And so I can't quite see which one this might line up with on the Variety Vista website. And when I look at the coin, of course, the things I'm particularly looking for are definitely the I, Liberty, and God We Trust, the date. I think what I can see most clearly, very similar to the first one we looked at, is some notching at the base of the L with the loop. That's a little bit more clear. I'm not exactly certain what else I want to be looking for on this particular coin. And I'll loop back with James because he seems to be an authority on these sorts of things, is very interested in these varieties. So I'll find out exactly what that is. But again, this is another coin in just beautiful condition. And so that's awesome. Next up, we'll take a look at the 3 RPMs that James sent along. There's a 61D, a 60D, and a 55D wheat cent, all repunched mint marks. Okay, here I've got that 1961D RPM 021. So that tells you there's a lot of different repunched mint marks you can look for. This one is a D over D over D, east and tilted. So that's really interesting. Again, I've got it up on Variety Vista, so you can see what that looks like here. And you can see the various stages. So there are different stages that this takes. But the prominent markings on this one are the line in the middle of the D, and then this line over there. And so taking a look at mine here, you can see very clearly that line in the middle of the D, as well as that other little protrusion, which is part of another D. Very, very cool. And again, if we want to see exactly which die stage this is, we can look at all of the other markers for the different stages that are on here to know precisely what we've got. And I didn't see any die chips on the cornices, so I think it's going to be one of the stages that look like a fairly clean Lincoln Memorial. That is the 1961D repunched mint mark 021, and it's in gorgeous condition. Next up, we'll look at this 1960 Denver. This is the RPM 002, and James has noted here it's a D over D West. Let's take a closer look. So there are 2 Ds here. This one is overlaid on another one, and the easiest marker that we can see on here with this view is just sort of this line right here. There was a little bit of notching at the base here. It's hard to see. Here are the images from Variety Vista. So you can see that little notch there, and you can see that same little notch on this one here. And there are other die markers. You can see there is a significant die scratch from the 9 to the vest, and that is here as well. So there are different things you can look for to match it up with the options that you can see on Variety Vista. So I flipped it over to look at the reverse because I think one of the most significant die markers that we can look at here is this the die chips on the right cornice. And if we look at the right cornice, we can see those same die chips. And then right beside that, we've got a die break on column number 12, that last column. And when we look at our coin, we can see that same die break. So this is a no-doubter. This is that very DDO, and apparently it is stage A. If we look at the same markers on stage B or stage C, they're different. They don't look the same as our coin. So we know exactly which one we've got. And last up, I've got a gorgeous wheat cent. I don't have too many gorgeous wheat cents in my collection. This one's a 1955D, RPM 009, D over D tilted. So we'll take a peek at that one as well and see if we can line up the markers. So here's our 1955D, and what we're particularly looking for is this sort of splitting that we can see on that bottom corner, and they're splitting up here. And in ours, it's a little harder to see. Of course, I'm trying to compensate for the glare here, but that splitting is visible here. And you can see that this is extra thick on the top. If we could get a really good picture, and I can see it on the loop, which is why a loop is really, really important, we'd see that there's that extra little notching on the top corner. Now, I want to acknowledge that the mint mark itself is actually, it's really hard without significant magnification or using the loop to actually distinguish. And if you were looking at this and you weren't certain, is this the one that I've got? These photos on here are fantastic because they will show you without a doubt what other characteristics of that die produce the RPM. And particularly on here, we can see that there's a die crack in the hair, a couple of them, and a die crack on the forehead. And when we look at our coin, we can see the die crack on the forehead and the die cracks on the hair just as they are on Variety Vista. This is the stage D, and that is what James had indicated here was stage D. Proof positive with those images on there. So I think it could be a lot of fun to look for these RPMs, and it would be pretty exhilarating, I think, to be scoping these out and finding them and be able to confirm it with all of the different die markers that we can see listed on the site. Really, really cool. So I really want to say thanks to my subscriber, James, for sending me these in to have a look at, to add to my collection and to share these with you guys. We got 6 different varieties of Lincoln Memorial and a wheat cent. So that is actually really, really cool. So we got 3 DDOs and 3 repunched mint marks, or RPMs, and that's super fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this look at some brilliant uncirculated Lincoln cents. If you did, please give the video a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, Cateroll Hunter, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. We look at coins all the time. I got videos coming out. Often it's coin roll hunting, but sometimes we're looking at varieties just like this. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.